Hi, everyone. I'm Clyde Bryant, and welcome to episode 10 of the Uptown Experts podcast. I'm here with Dominion Lending Center's president, Eddy Cocciollo. Eddy, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Clyde. I'm so happy to be here.
We've been thinking about, what do people want to hear? What do people want to hear us talk about on the podcast? What's relevant to the times? And, one of the things that I think a lot of mortgage agents and brokers, those that are in banking, are, we're all kind of having these thoughts on, what's going on with the mortgage industry, and, is it these times are good, these times are bad, some agents getting out of the mortgage industry. All right. But then on the flip side, you have a lot of, banking professionals that are looking and saying, I can't service my existing clientele with some of the banking products and services, and they're looking to exit the banking channel and, looking to get into the brokering side of the business. And so what we're trying to talk about here today is the various sides of the brokerage, or I'm going to say the mortgage business. Mm-hmm. And, we talked to Paul Acuto on episode 9. Yeah. He told us a little bit about how they do things at Clear Trust and how his position works. Yep. Shout out to Paul. Mm-hmm. And so today we're, putting you on the hot seat because we want to know what El Presidente does for a living and how does that really work. So before we dive into that, why don't we tell everybody, who is Eddy?
Yeah. Who's Eddy? Very simply, I'm, a family man. So I love my wife, my boys. I have 3 boys, all adults. Love spending time with them, and I get to work with incredible people as the president of DLC. It's been an honor to serve, and what's really important to me is that as I meet or help my brokers, my agents, and my owners, that they feel like I'm moving the needle. I'm helping them, either take their business to another level, maybe answering questions that, they're stuck on that will help them with their business. Obviously I have a tremendous staff that do so well for our brokers. So honored to be in the same circle as my staff. And, Eddy's just a guy that goes through every single day, feels like it's wonderful, right? And if I can wake up, skip to work, get on either the phone or email or in person and help people, then that's a great day. And usually 9 times out of 10, that's exactly my day.
Wow. Inspirational words already, Eddy. Well, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't love what you do, Clyde, then, you got to rethink it. I'm surrounded by incredible entrepreneurs, and they love what they do. And we have, incredibly successful owners and brokers and agents just like yourself. And you look around this place and, man, why wouldn't you want to come here every day, right? Why would, I know your people, and, why wouldn't they want to surround themselves with someone like you? And I'm sure you're thinking the same thing. I'm surrounding myself with people that are like-minded, that, want to, achieve, greater and better things. And that's a great environment to be in. We are very fortunate to be in the industry that we are, to be surrounded by the people that we are, including our lenders and our partners. It's a fantastic career, and I'm just lucky to be part of it.
Interesting. So let me just transition directly into that, the question about, why did you decide to become a mortgage broker or join the brokerage side of the business? Maybe talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think I started my career in banking. So obviously with, being part of banking, lending is something where you feel like you're going over and above to help that individual or that family. Mm-hmm. So I kind of gravitated to the lending side, be it, just loans or car loans, and then of course mortgages. So at Canada Trust, that was my sort of love. And so I moved from there to be more of a specialized role in Canada Trust, where I did door knocking, for example, in neighborhoods, or, I was, the one that would look for opportunities either, through databases or, as I hear clients and what they want. So I really love just helping people, especially around finance. Became a mortgage specialist in the late 90s with CIBC. So that was my first sort of taste of the entrepreneurial side.
Interesting.
Coming from the corporate side. So you work on commission, like, most bankers do. And I really loved it because now the work I put in, the reward I get out. So if I work harder, I make more money. Exactly. Right? So it became a sort of passion. And then, of course, a natural evolution of that is being a broker. And I was a broker for a small outfit called Assured Mortgages. I had an in-house at Sutton Group, and it was wonderful. I sort of worked, 6 days a week, prospected sort of Monday to Wednesday, had my clients come in on Thursday, did my visits Fridays, and, did my closing Saturday. So it was, became a real career for me, but on an entrepreneurial end. So you're thinking, well, how the heck did you leave that to the corporate world?
Yeah, you move.
Yeah, great question. It was an opportunity to help GE launch in Canada. So it was called GE Money at the time.
I remember that.
They wanted to work with mortgage brokers. Rick Lunny, who I knew through the industry, just asked me sort of to take a sabbatical and help him launch, which I did, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was a wonderful place to work. Again, helping mortgage brokers with products. I was one of the architects of one of the products called the One Plus, and GE just treated me so well. I got to travel. I went to Florence. I went to London, England, Burbank, California. Representing Canada, and sort of fell in love with the corporate world again.
Yeah, okay.
And then the 2008 financial crisis happened, and c'est la vie, right? But I did follow Rick Lunny to CIBC, where I was to work on a non-prime, what they call the first line access. But because CIBC got sort of caught up in the asset-backed paper fiasco, and it was more of a reputational risk, they thought it'd be safer to pull back. And that was lucky for me because the opportunity of becoming the president of Mortgage Center Canada came up within CIBC. And I knew a lot of the Mortgage Center brokers, and it was just such an honor to lead such an incredible group. So just fast forward, I did that till, I was there at 2013 when Gary and Chris purchased Mortgage Center, acquired Mortgage Center Canada from CIBC. Continued on being the president until 2019. And then Gary and Chris asked me if I would lead DLC. And what an honor that is. I mean, that's their baby. For them to put that trust in me, I thought was wonderful. And so I've been president of DLC since 2019.
Wow. That is an interesting story. The first time I've heard that, to be honest. And, I'm hearing a lot of, a lot of similarities with, people that are, again, like yourself, coming from the banking side, ton of experience from banking, transitioning into the broker side, going back to banking. That's the first time I've heard that, though.
Yeah, and and it's more people, right? And then you hear about this as a people business, and you don't really follow the corporation. It's people that put trust in you. You put trust in them, and you just follow them, right? So it just happened to be, at that time, one of my mentors, Rick Lunny, obviously Gary and Chris. When they were competitors, of course, I couldn't stand them because they were fierce competitors.
Exactly.
And you know what? I learned quickly that they had something special. They really did. And they came into this industry sort of guns a-blazing and made a huge difference and became number one in a short period of time.
Exactly.
It was quite fascinating. So I learned a lot from them. Gary is one of my mentors. But just an incredible entrepreneur, an incredible human being. And again, I don't see me going anywhere, and it has to do a lot with the people I'm surrounded with.
Wow. So if you could, maybe tell us a little bit about your role as DLC president and how, of course, that differentiates from that of a traditional mortgage broker.
Right. Yeah, I mean, traditional mortgage broker, I don't practice at all, right? So there's no clients to see, there's no mortgages to originate, there's no lenders to try to connect with. My job is mostly to help our owners, our brokers and agents be successful, to make sure that we're implementing the products, technology, the services that are going to help them get to that next level. I work along with staff that do the same thing, and we're all passionate in the success of those mortgage brokers. That's it. I mean, it's not anything special. Sure, there's a board of directors and I have to report to them. Of course, there's a P&L that I have to keep, make sure that keep an eye on, but it is very much about the success of people like you and ensuring that we're supporting you and getting you to where you need to go. That's where, I fit best. We have a saying at DLC, you'll never work for us, we work for you. And that goes from Gary and Chris on down. Like there's nobody, we sort of have a saying as well that, your title doesn't matter, right? We're all in this together. We're just trying to move the needle, trying to help our brokers, and that's it.
And I think that's one of the things for me, when looking to come over to DLC, it's one of the things that kind of resonated right away. And, spending many years with the previous brand, it was tough. It was a tough transition, or a tough thought to transition.
Sure.
And, coming over, obviously, Joe Pinero was very much a part of that conversation. I've known Joe for years and trusted him.
Right.
He said to me, Clyde, the culture here at DLC is different. And, yes, in the sales pitch that everybody's going to receive, you listen and you're nod and you're kind of like, yeah, But when I actually had the opportunity to meet you for the first time, and, having the opportunity to sit and have a conversation, and then further that, you were gracious enough to, meet with me monthly and have, conversations just to, help me along, spur me along to, keep me tracking. And, that's not something that every business owner or every president of any business would necessarily do. And that speaks to the DLC culture, of course. But for me, more so, that speaks to you, to Eddy, and your passion to see other brokers or owners grow, to be successful. And so that culture that you're talking about, that's something that I'm not sure if you're saying that's top down, that's something that resonates.
Yeah, culture eats strategy for lunch, right? And building a culture of that nature, you can't help but everybody moving to this right direction, same direction, and rowing in the same direction. And very much that's how we are. We all want to see our brokers, owners, and agents succeed, including our partners. We're very close to our lenders. We treat them like clients. They are so important to the success of our business. Having constant conversations, making sure we open ourselves up to them, that they're there for us and we're there for them is very much part of our business. Like it goes on throughout. Doesn't matter if you're a supplier, client, even a customer. We want to be sure that that's how we represent ourselves, as someone that's going to help and take to the next level.
Do you feel that part of that, let me rephrase, do you feel that the culture is part of the reason why DLC is so successful?
Absolutely. I do. So we have competitors and they're wonderful, right? I mean, this industry has some incredible networks that do very well. But DLC is number one, right? There's no denying that. DLC does more volume than any other brokerage. And there's a reason for that, right? It doesn't happen by accident. That happens with culture. That happens with, the right people put in the right place. So there's a lot of why DLC seems to always be on top. And I think the number one reason is culture.
So let's talk about what makes a successful agent in Eddy's eyes.
Yeah, and we are blessed with some incredible agents, just like yourself. And we have always been looking and understanding what makes a broker successful. And there's always one ingredient that always comes up, and that is work ethic. And, you know, it's not about, you know, the technology you have or, you know, the processes that you put in place. It's the grit. And if you're someone that has that grit, that's going to go out and make those phone calls, have those meetings, and understand that this isn't a 9-to-5 job, usually you're on top, right? So you look at a top 40, they all have sort of the same spirit. So, you know, like all that other stuff is important, right? You gotta have the right people alongside you. You do have to have good processes.
Yeah, you need the technology.
Is important. Absolutely. But if you're asking me what makes, you know, a top salesperson, like it doesn't matter what industry it is, it's the one that has the most grit, the one that's going to go out of their way. They're not going to, uncomfortable is where they want to be.
Exactly.
Right. And, you know, when you think about change, right? So if you want change, meaning you want to be better, it's the same thing as going to the gym or doing a sport. You have to be challenged.
Exactly.
And I find the top guys always want to be challenged, and they're accepting of change, and then they'll go from there.
Yeah.
Right. They're always looking for that next level.
Yeah, I tell a lot of my agents and brokers that we meet with, it's like, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Of course.
And that's where you find that little bit extra, right? That little bit of extra that, you know, call it success or whatever you want to call it. But to your point, it's the grit, it's the willingness to go above and beyond.
You know, you know, we have a technology within DLC called Velocity, and just imagine this: 5 years ago, Velocity was maybe 5% of the market, and now, you know, we're probably 30%. Wow. And you know, and it's one of those things where it's hard to change. But again, if you want to see progress, if you want to see results, the best way to do it is change.
Change, of course.
And we're so proud of that technology. It's our top 40, 39 of our top 40 agents are on 100% Velocity. We're keep on seeing changes happening within Velocity. We're now, as DLC, almost at 80% of all of our volumes that go through Velocity. The social proof is there, right? And the early adopters really springboarded.
Yeah.
The late adopters, they're still in the back, right? So that's just an example of change. But there's a ton of others. And the question was, you know, what are the characteristics or attributes of top people? And it's ones that just go hard, grit, you know, have the willingness to go above and beyond in a constant manner. That's the ones that succeed.
Definitely agree with you there. And I'm going to add organization. The skill set of being organized and just being able to know what you need to do, when you need to do it, and track that day in and day
absolutely.
out. I'm sure a guy like yourself, especially, your calendar must be, you know, jam-packed but organized like crazy.
I would say yes on jam-packed, organized, man. I think that's maybe one of my superpowers, is that I just go with the flow. Like the last couple of weeks, man, holy smokes, I'm like all over the place. But, you know, I just accept it and I go with it. But I don't know if I'm that organized. And to be honest, I don't know if top sales guys are that organized. You know, the ones that I experience, they have in their mind that they're organized. But if you went to their office, papers all over the place. They, you know, they're up, down, their phone call. Oh my God, I forgot the meeting. Like, they're all over the place.
Organized chaos.
You know what? That might be an organized chaos. But, you know, there's something to say about being organized for sure. I don't take that away from you. Like for me, I don't know. I mean, thank God for Natasha, who's my assistant. Thank God for my wife, who's, you know, always making sure I'm organized. I am a little bit of scrambled brain. I'm all over the place.
So it's the people that you surround yourself with.
Definitely. Definitely. Just like you do.
Just
with
like
Michelle.
me. I got Michelle and I got my Natasha at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, you know, they keep me, they definitely keep me organized because, you know, in all honesty, and those that work with me, they know. I'm like, yes, I know this needs to get done. And I know this was on the calendar for today, but guess what? It's called business and things change, right? Absolutely. You got to go with the flow, right? Yeah. You were talking earlier about
flow.
You know,
yeah, flow is amazing, right? Yeah. I mean, I learned that sort of late. Actually, it was Todd Duncan who came on. We have a top 40, and he came on as a guest, and he talked about flow. And I didn't really understand what he meant, or what when somebody said go with the flow. Like you hear that saying, like go with the flow way. But there is something to say about things coming at you, you absorbing them, and understanding them. And sometimes it's an immediate reaction. Sometimes it's you know what? Chris Kane always says, sometimes time heals, right?
Yes.
So something comes at you, and you're like, oh my God, like I got to react, but maybe you don't. And you just kind of go with the flow, and then it sort of solves itself. So I've been learning a lot about flow, and it was since that Todd Duncan meeting that I started to understand it.
Yeah, I know that's one of the things, and I know I'm not even sure where I picked that up, but that's one of the things that I use in my business very often, because being the owner or the leader of the pack, so to speak, things get thrown at you on a day to day, and you get this email and you're looking at it, and your immediate reaction is, I got to respond. But the skill set of taking that breath, stepping away, and letting that time kind of pass is one that it really does work.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I guess we're giving a little bit of tidbits for those that are that are paying attention.
That's
right. So why don't we go on to the next one?
Sure.
What motivates you, and what's your why? Why do you do the things that you do?
Yeah, obviously there's the family. You want to absolutely do as much as you can to take care of them. So that's an easy one. But I think the overall answer to that is the satisfaction of what you do is important. So it's got to be satisfying. It's got to be satisfying at some point of time or in your brain. And that's kind of becomes the why, right? Because you're not going to do something you don't want. You got to do some things that you shouldn't do. Yeah, you shouldn't do. And sometimes you have to do things you don't want, and I get that, right? And so but doing things that give you satisfaction, no matter what they are, becomes sort of your why. And it becomes part of your life, right? It becomes like if it's a charity that you're passionate about, a hobby you're passionate about, maybe it's something that's travel, or it might be something out there that you're passionate about, and it becomes part of you. It becomes your why. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go about my day, my week, my month, my year, or my life, trying to satisfy myself in this category. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
That might be too deep. I don't know.
No, it does. 100% it does. And then, we talked about it, a few times on the podcast. For some people, it's, they might say they set the short-term goal of I'm looking to, buy the watch or buy the car or whatever, go on a trip. Or, those are the short-term whys. But the long-term whys, everybody, I think everybody that sits in the seat says family.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because you have to put it in there. Otherwise, don't come home tonight, right? So, but over and above that, it's really, taking that minute to really be true to yourself and realize what really motivates you.
Yeah.
And, for some people, that might be, I want to travel every single year. I want to be able to afford it. I want to be able to go away and make the memories with my family.
Yep.
Right? And that's okay.
That's a great why.
Yeah, that's a great why. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think for a lot of people, it's number one, figuring out what that is, and then remembering that when times get tough and you're like, I don't feel like I'm ready today. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to put in the hours. Worse, I don't want to make the calls. And all of a sudden, you're down 20% against your goal.
Yep.
Right. And, yes, this year especially, it was extremely challenging for agents and brokers.
Oh boy.
And, I, myself included, everybody.
Everybody.
And I think a lot of us that have gone through the grind of this year, really need to take that moment and maybe reset. And, I heard you say earlier on ICW that you want to put 2023 in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
Right? And when I heard you say it, I'm like, yes, I couldn't agree more. Right?
Yeah, tough year.
And, thinking about 2024 and, what's to come and trying to be ambitious and positive and all that jazz, a lot of that also means remembering why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, as you go into 2024, we're already having the conversations about goal setting and, you know, what what do you want to do? What are your numbers and all that stuff? But, you know, I really want to, you know, harp on the fact that I really hope that a lot of people are taking the opportunity to really just take that step back and remember why we're doing this. Yeah. Right. Because that's what it's all about. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, just to go back on a tough year, and, you know, that's just the name of the business. Mm-hmm. Right. And, you know, there's opportunities in every challenge. Mm-hmm. And, you know, those that took the opportunity to maybe sharpen their pencil, so to speak, and look at their business and pivot and try to find ways to set themselves up for success when things are going to get better. And they are.
Of course.
I think those are the ones that are really going to springboard in 2024, because it is going to get better. Mm-hmm. Rates are going to come down. There's so much pent-up demand, immigration. You heard Sherry Cooper talk about the shortage in housing. There's still a humongous. Did you see that number?
It was huge.
It was one full-time job for 4.8 homes, or something like that. Maybe I got that wrong. But it's something where the gap has gotten like 3 times bigger from a that's what it was, a full-time person and the opportunity to buy. The gap is getting getting bigger. So, you know, it's going to happen. So, you know, having that opportunity to sort of reset, work on your business, work not in your business,
on your business.
On your business.
Yeah. And at that point, though, you know, a lot of agents maybe don't realize the difference.
100%. Yeah, for sure. You know, there's an agent, his name is Kirk Henry. He's in Curtis, Ontario. And Kirk takes full responsibility for his team. He has a team of 5 or 6, maybe 7 now, or 8. It's been a while. I did talk to him yesterday, though. And he prospects between 9 o'clock and noon every day. So lead generation is what he does every day. So if you call him between that time, you're never going to get a hold of him. I talked to him yesterday, and this was 2015 when I first sort of dove deep into his practice, because he does 40 to 45 deals a month in Curtis, Ontario. And I said to him, I said, oh man, this has been, you know, a challenging year. Like, how did you do? And he says, well, my lead generation increased by 2.3%. Wow. And I said, wow. He goes, yeah. He goes, you know, I had to add an hour to my lead generation call, but I did get to a certain point, but my conversion rate went down from 25% to 20%, right? And so the opportunities were less because it was harder to qualify people. But my revenue only went down 15%. He said only went down because he realized everybody else is 40%.
Yeah.
Right? So he had to add that hour in his lead generation. He got more leads than he did the year before. Converted it less because it's just harder to convert more.
Exactly.
But still only dropped his revenue by 15%.
Which is great in this market.
Which is satisfactory, right? I mean, it's not, you know, 40%, 15% is a big difference. So, you know, he recognizes that he probably knows there's a shift in the market before anybody else, because he's so clued in with his realtors, and he knows that, you know, things are more difficult. And as I said, he takes responsibility for his team, and he'll add more lead generation to fill that pipeline, right? So that's the opportunity that I think a lot of people miss. That's when you just said people don't know the difference between working in your business or on your business.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, you can find excuses.
Of course.
Like, I talk to brokers and agents all the time. I'm down 40%, 50%, and, you know, the market's been tough, but what did you do about it?
Exactly.
Right? Did you recognize it and adjust? Did you recognize it and make more prospects, or, you know, dive into your database a little bit more? Or what did you do about it? And if you did nothing, then of course you're down 50%. Yeah. If you did the exact same thing as last year, you're down 40, 50%. Exactly. There's no question.
Well, yeah, that refinance business, that's out the window half of it, right? Lower, you don't get your lower rate. You can't use that anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's not for everyone. You know, this industry was so good to us for a long time, and we were blessed to be in it. And there's a lot of people that just rode those coattails, and they did okay, right? They did okay for a long time.
Those that took the opportunity to work on your business, as you would say, whether it's, you know, making the extra calls to produce that lead generation, or, you know, going back and getting in touch with your database, like you mentioned earlier. The point that I was looking to make, apologies, was, I think that's where the success was. And, even if it didn't necessarily lead to revenues right away, it's still helping you build on that, or build your business for 2024 or 2025, when, they might, these people, these clients might be coming up for renewal. So, it's never a bad thing to get in touch, right? And it's one of the reasons why, even here at Uptown, it's getting ready for Christmas. We're doing, 100 and something giveaways to our database, to our clients. And it's just about staying in touch. It's about finding ways or reasons to stay in touch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's, it's a testament to those that are willing to go above and beyond and do those little things, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. There's no excuses, being in tune with your clients, your referral sources, understanding that change is happening, adjusting, pivoting. These are all part of being successful. There's no excuse for you to be down 50%. That's up to you, right? That's sure. The market may be down, a certain percentage, but it's up to you to follow that market. You can choose to participate in that downturn, or you can choose to go up a level. And as you said, maybe use a CRM that is going to talk to your database, to make an extra call to a prospect that day. Like, these are all your choice. Like, nobody's holding a gun to your head, but if you want to get to that next level, you have to make those tough choices. And making the extra calls, investing in some technology, making sure that you're surrounded by the right people. All of that counts. Definitely. And most of the successful brokers keep on that same level because they know it, they understand it. They're successful for a reason. There's not many that go from number 1 to number 100. No. Like, our top 40 mix it around, right? But usually they're, I'd say 80% are still in the top 40.
Do you think that, the successful agent and brokers, they, to your point, they don't fluctuate much, but is part of that success because they're just heads down working? They're not worried about what's going on in the economy, or they're listening to the news and all the banter that comes along with that.
Means nothing to them.
Means nothing.
No.
Right? They're just heads down, day to day. I got to go in. I got to make my 15 calls for today, or whatever it might need to be. And that regiment is probably, definitely what leads to their success.
Yep.
And, that message is one that I really hope that a lot of agents and brokers are listening to.
Yeah, I hope so too. And listen, at DLC, we have great people to help you get to that next level. We really do.
Yeah.
We have great technology in Velocity, our CRM, that can get you that next level. We have the support. And sometimes you need that push.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? There's no doubt that you have a certain box, and for you to leave that box, you need to understand what's outside of it, and we can help you do that. And we do that. We have, fantastic trainers in Mary, Greg, and Heather right across the country that can go into your business and find ways and opportunities and help you. Right? And that's important too.
Of course.
And we are very proud of how we manage that. But you have to be open to it.
Yeah, you have to want it.
You have to want it. Like, we would love to force everybody, to be on Velocity, get on that CRM, sell MPP. Like, we love to say you have to do it, but there is a reward.
Exactly.
Right? You still have to dig to get the treasure.
Exactly.
Right? There's going to be some sweat. But if you're willing to do it, you're open to it, we can get you there.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mentioned earlier, even when I was coming over and, getting set up, and, I met with everyone that you just mentioned, and, everybody here has really been, I'll be honest, instrumental to how we were able to just get everything up and running and launch the brokerage side. That, it took a little bit longer for us to get our feet moving, but hey, we're here now, right?
It's worth it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it does take time. Sometimes it does take understanding. But if you get there, when you get there, not if, but when you get there, it just all comes together.
Definitely.
And we're very proud I look at, some of the brokers I've come across, especially bankers, right? And we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
The migration right now of bankers to broker is unprecedented. It is incredible. But love seeing the success. And I love hearing the one sentence that I hear every single time from bankers is, I wish I've done it sooner.
That's the same. I knew it was coming because I said it before.
Of course.
Right? And
I said it when I was from banker to broker. I mean, every banker, and our top guys like yourself, you talked about Paul and his team and Daniel Finkelberg, who's in their top 10, Miguel. You look at, Vu and all these guys and ladies that are top with us, we're bankers. Right? Even the owners that own our biggest franchises, we're bankers. Exactly. So it's just wonderful to see. And listen, some people belong in a bank, and I get that. But if you're looking for a change, I would highly recommend you make it now. It's a great time.
I agree.
To be a broker.
I agree. I mean, now's the time, especially now.
Oh, yeah.
Is the time when clients are looking for solutions. And yes, we all know it's difficult to qualify right now, even more so if you're trying to, fit them into the one bucket because that's all you have. It's the one product, unfortunately. But, being part of the brokerage community, you have access to a ton of products and services. And that's the benefit, right? So, I often look at some of the banking mobile specialists, whatever you might want to call them, mortgage specialist part of me. And I scratched my head and I'm like, well, I mean, I know, okay, fine. I did it for a while, but I didn't know any better. But now, DLC's out there in a big way talking about it. The competitors are out there in a big way talking about it. And if you're in the mortgage business, you know that they exist. So
change is hard, right? And if you're a banker, you're comfortable. You probably, again, it's a people business, so you probably have people that you're surrounded by that keep you comfortable, right? You got the big blue.
Comfort kills ambition.
Yes, but it's hard for them to change, right? Usually if you're a top banker, you make the move eventually. It's got to be timing. But if you're a top mortgage specialist at a bank, you're comfortable because you're making good money. You have the support, but you can make so much more. You can be more comfortable. You're probably working 18-hour days. You can work half of that and make double the money.
But this is the thing, right? Like I know back in my day, like you said, 18-hour days. Some days it's 2 a.m. I mean, I'm getting home. My wife's like, "Wait, what's going on here?" I'm like, "Yeah, another day," right? But now, like, we make our own schedule. Now, okay, I don't do 2 a.m. anymore. I still work pretty late, but it's for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and listen, working till 2 o'clock in the morning is because you have a passion for it. Right? You're satisfying an itch that you have. Being an entrepreneur is special, right? When you're a broker, you know that, you eat what you kill, and, there's probably a fire inside and you want to, keep it burning. And sometimes it takes you to 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Sometimes it takes you on a Sunday. You're on vacation. Guess what? Hey, honey, I'm just gonna.
This guy got
a quick deal. And it's not that you're sitting there feeling like you're forced to it. No. You love doing it.
You love doing it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You want to. It's just a wonderful industry.
Yeah, I think it's something that you said it earlier. You got to love what you do.
Yep.
And when you love what you do, you kind of get lost in the time, right? Yep. You kind of all of a sudden you wake up. You look over and. What time is it? I know it happens here all the time, right? And we're like, geez, okay, it's 11 o'clock. Okay, no more.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, we're still going, right? And, I guess it happens when you're actually passionate about, one, helping your client, and two, just loving what you do. Because it's no longer, what do they say? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So something to be said about that. But, over and above that, I think there's something to be said in just owning your own book of business.
Yep.
Right, and that transition from banking to the brokering side allows you to actually own your own book of business.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and you're in the freedom, right? The freedom to do basically what you want. If you're on the broker side, there's not much that you can't do. If you want to have a podcast,
exactly.
If you want to market a certain way, you can market a certain way. If you want to say the F word, you can probably say it. Nobody's going to care.
It's
right?
true. Right.
So, being at the bank, you have to be more reserved. You have to sort of follow rules and policies. And we get that, right? There's a corporation that you're representing and totally get that. But the freedom to do what you want, the way you want, be an entrepreneur, make really good money, then yeah, this is a great place to be.
Yeah. Do you find that the agents or brokers that are, I'm going to say, successful are the ones that are like just being themselves, or do you find they're trying to stick to a box?
Oh no, you have to be yourself. I think it's a waste if you're trying to be someone else, because you're going to get caught eventually. So be yourself, because you know what? People gravitate to who you are. And you may not resonate with this referral source or that client, but that's okay. Someone else will, but there'll be enough for you. So I highly recommend just be yourself. If you're a funny guy, be the funny guy. If you're serious and you're all about, making sure that you're straight and narrow, be the straight and narrow. There's no right way to do this business. That's what makes it so wonderful. It's incredible. Like, I see within our ranks, the different characteristics, how people do business, who they do business with, the kind of business they do. If they have a niche or maybe they do everything, it doesn't end. It's kind of fascinating.
How, as a leader, do you motivate others?
People will run as fast as their leader. And the motivation happens on who you are. I think that's first and foremost. If you are someone that's going to dictate, people don't respond to that necessarily. But in our business, I think people do want to be coached hard, right? So you still have to be on a level where you're saying, hey, I'm going to push you because most people only work at 25% of what they're capable, right? So you have to find that extra juice. So it's really important as a leader to find that in people. And sometimes, you get caught up at saying, hey, I'm seeing Clyde, he's running pretty fast. I mean, there's nothing I can do to make him run faster. I just really don't. And I'll probably just, lay off and let you keep running. But what you want is different what I want. And what you want is to run faster.
Yeah, I want to get pushed.
Yeah, you want to get pushed, right? So, so a good leader will recognize that. A good leader will find ways to get people to be at that next level. And if you look at this industry and the biggest teams, the best leaders, they're ones that push their people.
Is part of that, and I guess it's more of a, so we can talk about it, but part of that motivation is that, I'm going to say part of that, the education or the readings, the books that you...
Yeah, I think it's important. Like, there's no better way to improve than self-education, right? So books are probably the minimal, right? You should, grab a book, something you're interested in, dive right into it. You want to interview Nelson Mandela? Well, chances are you're not going to be able to, but you can read his book, right? Same thing with, Jobs or, any absolute incredible great mind you can pick up and learn what they do. One of the books that changed my life was The Magic of Thinking Big, because, I always thought that, I want to get to a certain level, but I didn't necessarily think I can get to any level, right? So that book, actually, I've read it over 10 times, probably listened to it over 10 times, but that book taught me that there is no limits.
Limitless.
Right? It's limitless, right? Put it out there. If you want it, put it out there and work towards it. Make the plan, go step by step. And if you put in the work, it's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
Right? So,
but you said a key thing there, Eddy. I'm not going to let you just jump.
Okay.
You make the plan, but it's the step by step that really matters.
Oh, for sure.
The intricacies within the plan is what I want to say that really matter, right? Because a lot of people say, okay, you know, I want to do 300,000, a million, 10 million, whatever the number is. And, you know, to do that, I got to do 100 ends or whatever the number might be. And okay, I'm going to make my 20 calls a day. Great. But, you know, outside of that, what have you done? Right? You gotta take the time and really, like we talked about organization, planning the day, right? When are you going to make those calls? At what time of day are you going to make those calls, right? And like you said, one of your top producers, he spends the time. He makes his calls.
Yeah, and if you don't make the calls, what do you do about it?
Exactly.
Right?
Are you to make it up from the day before?
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? So when I brokered and I was prospecting Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, you know, sometimes it'd be a hard day. And, you know, I would say, okay, you know, I got 5 more calls to make, but I'll go home early. But I always made up those calls the next day. Yeah. Because it's the opportunity you don't know that you're missing. Exactly. Right? If that one call, those 5 gets you that, you know, at that time, a $250,000 mortgage was exciting. Now that's not even, but zero. Yeah, exactly. So if that one call gets you that $1 million mortgage and you didn't make it, you didn't get the $1 million mortgage. So whatever the plan is, and if it is 10 calls, 50, no matter what it is, make the calls. You know, you're going to have bust weeks, which means you're not going to get a deal and you made 100 calls. Yeah. But there's worse, you get deals that fall apart. Right. Happens. Yeah. So, yeah, you like dream big, you know, whatever income that you want. And it's got to be like, you can't say, I've never been a broker before and I want $1 million. Hey, listen, you'll get there. Eventually. And if that's your goal, put it on the board, but don't think you're going to be there in a week. No, it's not. That's unfair, right? You're going to be unfair, and all you can do is deflate yourself. Exactly. But if you want to put that $1 million on the board, put it on the board, and let's plan on getting it there. Exactly. Right. So what do you have to do? What are the steps I have to do? How many calls do I have to make? How many prospects do I have to meet? You know, what do I have to do? How many meetings? You know, all of that has to be set. Once you set that up, just go. Execute. And you'll be there. Execute. Yeah, man, execute. And you'll get there. I promise you. Like, you see me do my prospecting. And what do I say? I said, only 1% of you are actually going to do this. Exactly. And the 1% is going to change their lives. And imagine that. If I said you want to make $1 million, I promise you can get there. You got to do the work. Only 1% of the people will do it. How sad is that? That's actually very sad. Sad. But it's the reality of the situation, right? And that's why there's that 80-20, right? 80% of the people or 20% of the people make 80% of the income, right? But of that 20%, there's another 80-20. There is. Right? There's always that. Yeah, exactly. The ones that make the phone calls, the ones that do the work, that come in when they're feeling sick, whatever it might be, right? And those are the ones that, you know, I'm guessing those are the ones that are probably sitting top 40, right? Yeah. Like, you know, we have multiple agents that make multiple millions of dollars, right? And it doesn't come by accident, doesn't come by fluke, doesn't come by luck, right? It comes through work. Exactly. Yeah. That's it. So what would you say to an agent or broker that, you know, they've had a tough year, right? We talked about earlier, 2023. It's been a tough year. Okay, fine. And, you know, we said, how much have you done to really counteract that? Did, you know, if you're down 40%, are you making 40% more calls? Are you, are you making 40% more touch bases or whatever it might be? You know, are you actually putting capital back into your business? Are you investing in your business, right? All of these things are what actually helps set you apart. But, you know, what would you say to an agent or broker that has had a tough year? And, you know, they're thinking, okay, well, what do I do in 2024? And, you know, do I continue being an agent or broker? Or, you know, do I look at, you know, selling my book of business? Or you know, everybody's kind of wondering, right? And having the president here, I think they would absolutely be upset with me if I didn't ask the question. Yeah, and I think there's only 2 reasons why, you know, you be that discouraged. One is you're in the wrong environment. So people will go as fast as their leader. And so what that means is maybe you're the top dog and you're down 40%. There's no one there to compare yourself with or push yourself. Maybe you work at your home in your basement. And I don't know. And I can't stand that. But maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Like, look around this office. I would love to sit in this office and listen to other people call like you. And I would say, hey, you know, this is going to motivate me to the next level. So what is your environment? If you're in your basement, get the fuck out of your basement. Get out of your basement, people. Right? Yeah. Get in an office. Surround yourself with really good people that are just so much better than you that you aspire to be.
Yeah.
So I think one is your environment.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot stand the work from home. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love it, but it doesn't work for me. If you're a salesperson, you want to be around salespeople. Yeah. And, you know, being at home in your basement or your home office, wherever that is, in your pajamas or your shorts or whatever favorite rock star t-shirt that you might wear, I mean, I'm sorry, that's not setting you up for success, right? No. You got to be able to wake up, you know, do your routine, get yourself in your mindset, make the trip to the office, right?
100%.
And then go about your day, right? And there's something to be said about that just helps set you down that right path. And yeah, I know some people love working from home. Yeah.
But, and, you know, it's a brand you're with, right? I mean, you know, DLC, as I said, and of course I'm going to, you know, talk about DLC because it is the environment that's going to take you to that next level. I have no doubt in my mind. So the environment is definitely number one. And number two is you have to change to get results. You're probably down 40%, and we've said this already, because you're doing the same things. There's no way you're doing something different. If I'm going to the gym and I'm doing the same curls for my biceps over and over again, there's going to be no progress. No. It's not going to happen. You have to change it in order to see progress. It's the same thing with sports. It's the same thing with anything that you want to be successful for. So get out of the environment that you're in, or find that change is going to get you to that next level.
Well, they say the definition of crazy madness is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Yeah. The definition of insanity. There you go.
So I would absolutely tell you that you don't have to be down 40% or 50% or any percent.
Or any percent.
You choose to be. Yeah.
You're making that choice.
You're making that choice.
So, Eddy, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Any closing comments, anything that you might want to add on before we step away?
First of all, this is wonderful. Great job. And you know, I've been to this office, you know, probably half a dozen times, maybe more.
Yeah, probably more.
What you built here, Clyde, is very special. Thank you. And why people wouldn't want to be part of this is beyond me. You have a real estate company, an insurance company, and obviously a mortgage brokerage company. Tons of opportunity here. If anybody's listening, if you're a banker or maybe you're a broker and you want to be in that environment we talked about, which is, you know, that fast pace, hungry, get to the next level environment, and you need that change, I would highly recommend Uptown. You're a great leader, Clyde. I spent a lot of time with you over the sort of year, and congratulations, man. It's wonderful to see the success. And I know that you're going to take it to exceptional heights. So congratulations.
Thank you again. I appreciate it. Well, with that, Uptown Experts, we're out.